old-fashioned, but I'm a bit sick of high-riding family haulers that are trying to be other things as well. Ooh, this SUV's a sports car. This SUV's a coupe. No, they're not. All you do when you try to make these big, high-riding cars into other things that they were never supposed to be is worse family cars. Which is why I've taken an instant shining to this. This is the new Citroen C5 Aircross, and it thinks that things like 0 to 60 times and swooping roof lines are childish. But is it as good at being an EV as it is at being a family car? Let's find out. Welcome to the Citroen E-C5 Aircross. Welcome to Mallorca. Welcome to the Everything Electric Show.
Our 3 free YouTube channels on EVs and clean tech are funded by our fun-packed test drive-tastic events in Farnborough, London, the Southwest, the North, Melbourne and Sydney, and next up, Everything Electric Farnborough. And new for UK viewers, you can now buy a battery EV and much more at everythingelectric.store. Now, back to the episode.
So, out on the road in the Citroen E-C5 Aircross, and the first thing we have to talk about is refinement. Do you hear how softly I'm speaking right now? This car is extraordinarily quiet, even for an EV. There is surely, I'm guessing, a huge amount of sound deadening in this car because it is remarkably quiet, even when driving really quite quickly. It's very quiet, isn't it? Very quiet and very plush. Ooh, it's squashy in here. The thing I always like about Citroens is they have a very clear USP. All of these Stellantis brands, not all of them have a really clear standout reason for existing, if I'm being completely honest, but Citroen do. Squashy. We're going to make the squashy cars, the really, really, really comfortable ones. That's always been their thing, and I love that. And this is no exception. It is wonderfully comfortable, this car. It's got those hydraulic cushions on the suspension that Citroen are very, very proud of. And it is wonderfully comfortable, extremely supple. This is not a quick car. It's got enough performance to overtake someone when you need to, but it's languid. It's a long throttle pedal. You really have to press it quite a long way to make anything happen. It's the car's way of going, hey, why rush? And when you do that, I don't think that there are many, maybe not any cars for this price that offer such a refined, luxurious ride. Now then, this thing, what do we reckon? Well, design-wise, quite smart. I think much better looking than the C3 and the C4. C3 is such a great little car, and I'm not seeing enough of them on the road. I think part of it is because it's just not very interesting looking. You park it next to something like a Renault 5. Not close, not close. But this, good looking car, I think. We've got that same light signature, the 3-point light signature, which means that you can recognise this thing as a Citroen in the dark. They've all got it now. This, the C4 and the C3, they all fall into line under this new design philosophy that started with the Ollie concept that we looked at a couple of years ago. I like the lights. I like that there's absolutely no chrome anywhere on the front. It's just nice and clean, I think, and there's some fun designy elements. They've got their little colour clips that you can swap out. That's fun. Look at that. That's definitely some design down there. There's a lot of design going on in this rear quarter here. This is, I feel, where they're really allowed to express themselves. I'm just happy to see a boxy, high-riding SUV. Everyone stop trying to make everything swoopy, okay? I guess it's for aero reasons. I guess that's why everything's being kind of coupified and it's sort of trendy at the moment. And there is a little tiny swoop, little teeny tiny swoop. You can see the designers were like, please can we make it swoopy? We want to make it swoopy. Everything must be swoopy. They're like, no, headroom is important. You can have a little swoop, but only after the rear occupant's head. Little swoop, there you go. They treated themselves. But pretty boxy shape, lots of room in the back. That's the important thing here. It's quite a big car. They call this a C-segment SUV. These categories are getting more and more blurred with every passing day. Because this, price-wise, stacks up against things like Kia EV3, Renault Scenic, but it's just a larger car. That's how they've engineered more space for you, just make the packaging bigger. It's the straightforward way of doing it. These are fun. Look at these brake lights. Designers are obsessed with width. Width makes cars look good, and they've really pushed the boat out in the name of widening this thing. The brake lights are wider than the rest of the car. Not everyone will like this, and from certain angles it's really weird, but I think I do. I think it's fun. It's a cool light signature, very distinctive, definitely gives width, and they claim that this is an aero feature. They claim that the air sweeping through here gets you an extra 30 kilometers of range. As opposed to what? Not having them? And this is really impressive. Check this out. Big old boot. That is north of 650 litres, which is 100 more than you get in a Renault Scenic. It's like 200 more than you get in stuff like Skoda Elroq, Kia EV3. Again, bigger car, but that is a really, really, really large boot, and something that Citroen are very proud of is that the boots and the space inside are the same across all versions of the car. So this is, of course, multi-energy platform, the Stellar Medium, if you're wondering. And globally, there are petrol, mild hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and electric versions of this new C5. Not all cars available in all regions. In the UK, we just get the plug-in and the BEV. But they're very proud of the fact that the space is uncompromised. It's the same across all versions. You don't get a smaller boot or higher floor in the electric one, in other words. That is good to see. They're getting better at this multi-energy thing, but I maintain that you always have a fundamentally compromised car. When you have that multi-energy platform, when you design a platform that has to accommodate so many different powertrains, there will always be compromises. Numbers, this car is going to start in electric form at about £37,000 in the UK, which just so happens to be the exact number that a car can go up to while still qualifying for the government EV grant. There you go. People are a bit wishy-washy about this grant. Not everyone is super happy with the way it was executed. I think it's a bit confusing, quite frankly. But one thing it has done is encourage manufacturers to keep their cars under that threshold. So that's one thing, right? This car costs that much because if it cost any more, you wouldn't get a discount, but you do. That's good. And there's a couple of battery options. There's a 73 kilowatt hour, that's the entry battery, which they say gets you up to 320 odd miles of range, or there's a new big battery that we'll see in this, the E3008, the Vauxhall Greyland, which is 97 kilowatt hours with an alleged 420 odd miles of range. Again, up to. I think in the real world that looks more like 300, 350, depending on conditions. Loads of range. Good if you're towing stuff. And this brings me rather neatly to the less impressive element of this car, which is the EV stuff. I do still feel that this is one area where the Stellantis brands slightly lag behind, because in the strongest regen setting, I still don't have proper one-pedal driving. That's very silly in this day and age. Charging speeds, quick, but nothing game-changing. I want to be seeing, ideally, 300 plus kilowatt maximum charging speed from any new car these days. And in terms of the platform, the battery pack, where's the innovation? Where's the envelope pushing? We've just seen the new Neue Klasse BMW with its cylindrical cells, and it's all more power dense, and it's more affordable, and it's lighter, and it's stiffer, and it's cell to pack, and where's all of that? Isn't the whole point of this Stellantis automotive supergroup that they pool their resources, share equipment, and therefore that equipment is really, really good? Shouldn't this platform that all these Stellantis brands use be absolutely bleeding edge? Because it's not, it's just fine. Frankly, even the fact that this car sits on a multi-energy platform, I just don't have much time for those anymore. I'd sooner see a model again like what BMW have adopted and like what Mini are doing, where you have the same car available as electric or petrol, but with different platforms, with their own dedicated platforms whereby neither one is hamstrung by the other. And that is the word, hamstrung. I do just feel a little bit like this car is held back by the lack of EV innovation within its Stellantis parent company. Think about that Citroen Olli concept that we saw a few years ago. So cool, so innovative and exciting. Well, The design language, that's actually translated to the production cars, and we've got some nice, tactile, interesting looking materials, I'll give them that. But what about the really exciting stuff? The emphasis on lightness in the name of maximising efficiency, reducing the number of parts in the name of affordability. I'm not seeing an awful lot of that here. If it sounds like I'm being harsh, I have to be, because there's so many really, really, really good new EVs, especially in this segment now. And while I like an awful lot about this car, while I think it would suit an awful lot of people, as an EV, technologically speaking, I'm not especially impressed. Right, interior. We're starting in the back because this is really quite something. Now, I'm tall. I don't know if we've mentioned that in videos before. I'm about 6'6". Not the tallest man on this launch, because Roland, huge car guy from the Netherlands, is here. Saw him at dinner. Made me feel small. Didn't like it. But that seat's in my position, way back. And yet, look at that. Look at that. That's a load of space. I will just say that if this car sat on bespoke EV architecture, they wouldn't have had to make it this big in order to give you this much space. Just saying. Front seats. Okay, interior, front seats, let's talk about it. This car is about two things: comfort, space, but also value for money. It's quite hard to balance that. You want something that feels luxurious, but can't be too expensive. So how have they done? They've done pretty well, I would say. I always talk about Citroens being squashy. They have literally wrapped the dash in a squashy padded material, which I really enjoy. It's all recycled, that's very nice. These relaxation seats are fantastic. They're so comfortable. They actually have squeezy bolsters, so when you turn the car on, you can feel it caressing your sides. The idea being that all people of all shapes and sizes will fit snugly and be cocooned by their seats. I think it's pretty nice in here. Effort has been made through colour and texture and material to ensure that it's not drab, and I appreciate that. And yes, there's a few kind of slightly cheapy bits if you go looking for them, but it's a value for money car, that's inevitable. What could have been avoided is the piano black fingerprinty material that they've decided to put on the steering wheel of all places in the centre console, but life's too short to grumble about piano black. I've done it enough for one lifetime. Driving position is, if I'm being generous, commanding. You sit very high in this car. It feels quite big. I think high shoulder line, the shape of the bonnet. I haven't massively enjoyed navigating this thing through narrow car parks, but I suppose it is quite big, so it makes sense that it feels quite big. Good job, Jack. Good car journalism. Some things I like slightly less. This infotainment screen feels a little bit yesterday's tech. It's just not especially quick once you've gotten used to the kind of hyper-responsive stuff they're chucking in Chinese cars now, for example. This isn't quite on par with that, and this gauge cluster, it's kind of tucked away. The information is quite small and it's quite low down. Now, Citroen counters by saying, well, actually, we've done that on purpose because you have this brilliant, large heads-up display and you don't even need to look down there. And that's true, but only on the top trim version. And I do like it. I really do like this setup. Big HUD, all my important information is in it, including my navigation. So I really don't need to deal with this very much. But if you don't have the top version and you don't have the HUD, don't love this. Also, final grumble, worst door funk I've heard in a while. Listen to this. Okay, my bottle is in the door. And actually, big door bin in the pocket. My comedically large water bottle fits great. But I've never known a door that sounds so much like it's not quite closed properly. But that's pedantic, I suppose. And then, just to end on a positive, what happened to sunglass storage holders in the ceiling? Bring them back. So then, Citroen E-C5 Aircross. What do we reckon? I would sum it up as highly competent, if slightly unremarkable. I don't think it's trying to be remarkable. I don't think it's trying to be groundbreaking or change the world. There's a really clear selling point here, and I like that. If the most important things to you are space and comfort, this gives you more of those than any of its competitors. That's great. That's really, really clear, compelling selling point. With my everything electric hat on, I do wish there was a bit more for me to get excited about under the skin. I wish that this sat on bespoke EV architecture. I wish the battery pack had some new exciting technology for me to talk to you about. Cylindrical cells, cell to pack, some of that stuff would have been nice, but that's not a Citroen thing, that's a Stellantis thing. I do think the Stellantis group needs to push the envelope a little bit more with their EV technology, but I also think that Citroen have done a lovely job with everything else. So there we go, C5 Aircross. Do let me know what you think in the comments. Do make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have been, thanks for watching.
Now visit electricvehicles.expert, where you can follow everything electric and keep current with Clean Technica, The Driven, Electrek, and many more.